Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sam Z. I'm Matt here. Everyone else is busy. We did get word, though, from Big Lou. Breaking news. He's graduating from basic training tomorrow and will be back next week on the podcast. Congratulations to Big Lou. We have missed him. He's been in Oklahoma this entire time. He just reached out to us a few hours ago, giving us this breaking news, and we are extremely excited to have Big Lou back, mostly because I'm sick and tired of talking to only Sam Z here on every podcast.
I don't think I'm that bad, am I?
You're not, but I like to see, the variety could change.
Sure.
With that exciting news being shared and to the side, there's a lot to cover in the world of the Vikings land. We'll start off with the most recent news that broke last night. Mekhi Blackmon tore his ACL in practice and will miss the 2024 season. A big blow to the cornerback room that was already a ginormous question mark on this team. Sam, what are your initial thoughts?
I've talked about this time in and time out. I talked about this last year. I've talked about it this year. Mekhi Blackmon is a player that I'm really high on. I think that he had the potential to be the starting corner alongside Byron Murphy this year, because last year cornerback play was subpar at best. Caleb Evans had okay coverage, but he couldn't tackle to save his life, whereas Mekhi Blackmon, with a little bit more size, was able to tackle and make plays on the ball. And so this is going to be a really, really tough blow to the Vikings secondary. And I don't know. It's really sad. If you've seen his Instagram story at all, he's staying positive. He's, saying like, I know God's got me and whatever. And that's great that he's staying in good spirits. But Vikings wise, this is going to be a really, really difficult thing, because it was the first day of training camp, right? Mekhi Blackmon was going to be one of the stars on this Viking defense, and now who knows if he'll ever return to the play that we saw his rookie year.
Yeah, obviously, he was coming into his second season already, given the fact that the cornerback room is not great here in Minnesota. It's very top heavy. It just means that guys that, potentially were on the chopping block in terms of making the roster now have a better opportunity of staying on the roster. Really looking at you, Andrew Booth. But it sucks. He's a second-year guy, and just like you said, he was going to be one of the main corners on this team. He was a very budding star, I would say, in his rookie season. He showed great flashes, and he was only going to improve on that. And it's just another big blow to this cornerback room. But before that injury happened, the Vikings did end up signing an old familiar face in Duke Shelley. So that signing now becomes more important than previously thought. He was more of a depth guy. Now he's going to have to step in and be one of those main guys in that rotation. What are your thoughts on Duke Shelley?
If you look back at previous podcasts from when Duke Shelley was still a Viking, I loved him, right? I thought he is an electric player. He's a little undersized, but he plays way bigger than he is, right? He got one interception in the last game of the season, which was awesome to see. But he is a presence on the field, although he's not large, right? He's tough. He is gritty. He will do the dirty work that the Vikings need a slot corner to do, because he's not an outside corner kind of guy. He's definitely a slot corner kind of guy. And I think that he's actually going to be a very pivotal part of our Vikings defense now. And no, I didn't see the contract details at all. I just know he went to the Raiders, and I think they paid him like $900,000 or something like that. And then he went to the Rams, and they paid him something in that ballpark. So I'm curious if we're paying him. Are you looking it up right now, Matt?
Maybe.
I'm just curious if he's making that same ballpark with us.
Pro Football Talk did not have anything. Maybe the Vikings will share contract. They
I'm gonna
only said he's
Spell
returning.
track really quick because they always seem to have Shelley.
I'm probably just not looking hard enough. I just looked at
It
3
still has
sites.
Duke Shelley listed as Los Angeles Rams corner, but his cap hit with the Rams was under 800,000. So, it's and it looks like he made, I think, 1.3 million with the Raiders, and then a total of 1.1 million with the Rams. With the Vikings in 2022, he made 965,000. So he's making around the million mark pretty much everywhere he goes, which the Vikings can more than afford. And if he's making anywhere near that, I think that's an excellent pickup. Now, my guess is that we're desperate. We're probably paying him around 1.2, 1.3 million on a 1-year contract.
Again, his average value, and as Vikings fans, he needs to play more than $1 million just because with the depth at corner being so scarce. Speaking of scarce corner depth, I guess we can quickly pivot to potential free agent signings the Vikings can make at corner. You mentioned Adoree Jackson. Is there any other name that stands out to you in this free agency list?
I don't know exactly who all the free agent corners are right now.
Right now, available include Xavier Howard, 31 years of age, J.C. Jackson, Adoree Jackson, aforementioned, Stephon Gilmore, and Patrick Peterson. Other notables are Eli Apple and Logan Ryan.
And former Viking Chandon Sullivan, who is definitely a slot corner safety kind of guy, more so than an outside corner, which is where we really need the help. I think a sleeper on this list is Ahkello Witherspoon. I think he has been very underrated in his career, right? I think he's been on a couple teams now. I got to look him up now just because we're curious about him. So it looks like his most recent team was the Rams. But previously he played for the Niners for 4 years. He played for Pittsburgh for 2 years. In his career since 2017, so it's 6 years in the league, he's got 11 interceptions. And he's not, of course, your number one corner. He's got a forced fumble. He's got 2 fumble recoveries. He does have a touchdown. I don't know. I think he's kind of not a stud, but a notable mention, right? Honorary mention, we'll say, to the cornerback room. But yeah, like I said, Adoree Jackson is definitely going to be one of those top guys that's getting looked at. Xavier Howard, another guy that's going to be one of those top guys getting looked at. Yeah, I don't know. It's just really difficult to find corners right now because there's only maybe, 10, 15 left that are still starter level that are still free agents. They all got picked up. And so, I mean, I think we thought we would solve it in the draft, and unfortunately, Tyree Jackson passed away, and then of course Mekhi Blackmon tears his ACL, and now we're down 2 corners that we had before, and crap, what do we do?
It'll be interesting to see. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
It'll be interesting to see how much deep in the wallet I guess the Vikings will go in trying to sign someone. Chandon Sullivan's last contract was $1.3 million. As you compare it to a guy like you said, Xavier Howard, who last year made $18 million. J.C. Jackson with the Patriots was $16 million. Will the Vikings want to open the wallet on a guy like that or try to play cheap and just hope they play above their contract potentially?
I think the Vikings will try to play it cheap because it seems to be the way that they kind of roll with corners. I don't see them signing Xavier Howard or Adoree Jackson. I think they should. I think they should reach into the pockets a little bit. I think Eli Apple is a possibility. I think Ahkello Witherspoon is a possibility. Patrick Peterson, even, I think, is still a possibility. I think he still thinks that he's got some left in the tank, and I think the Vikings might think the same thing, whether he's a starter, whether he's, a backup, a serviceable backup, getting in a rotation, whatever that might be. I don't know. I don't know. It's just like a big, like no one knows what's going on with the corners right now. No, with the departure of Mekhi Blackmon and Kyrie Jackson to the cornerback room this season, I think we're going to see Shaquille Griffin get a lot of playing time. I think him and Caleb Evans will probably be rotating out as that cornerback too. I think Andrew Booth has the opportunity to get some playing time. I think it's going to be pretty tough for him not to make the roster now just because we need the corners. But yeah, I don't know. It's big gray area right now.
And going back to what I said about contracts, I'm not saying a guy like Xavier Howard or J.C. Jackson are going to be making $15 million on a one-year contract. Right. That was just the last contract they signed. It's going to be a little bit cheaper, but a guy like Chandon Sullivan will probably sign for around $1 million. You're going to get a guy like Xavier Howard for potentially $8 million. So if you want to stay on the cheaper side and hope a guy like Chandon Sullivan would play above his contract, it's just a waiting game. And I trust Kwesi, I trust O'Connell to make a good decision here. They usually seem to. This is the one position, though, that has always been a little bit iffy in terms of decision making. So I'd be all for bringing Patrick Peterson back, to be honest.
I have a potential question. Just something I want to throw out. Just see what you think.
Probably don't have an answer, but throw it at me.
We have two current safeties on the roster who are former cornerbacks. One is obviously Najee Thompson. And the second, a lot of people don't know, when he was at Cal, Cam Bynum played corner. Does Cam Bynum transition into a corner role, an outside corner role? Because we've seen that he's kind of locked down in coverage when he's a safety. Will he transition into a corner role and have Harrison Smith play the free safety, or have someone like, I don't know, Theo Jackson step in as a starting safety then until we find a way to fix the cornerback issue? Does Bynum have an increased movement role similar to Metellus, except not playing linebacker and safety, playing corner and safety? You know what I mean? I just have a couple of, I don't know, do we play with four safeties on the field? Right? Metellus, Jackson, Smith, and Bynum. Do we play those four all at the same time?
That is definitely a real possibility. Even if we do end up signing a corner, that can be a potential decision that Flores makes with Bynum to move him around the field more, same as he does with Metellus. Again, it's just a lot of speculation right now. We were only day one into training camp and this happens. Vikings don't seem panicked, but they are going to need to scramble and patch things up. But obviously, I think Cam Bynum would be a perfect, guy to go take a few reps at corners, given just the depth isn't there. Even if they do sign someone, get a guy who's had that experience and he's a playmaker.
That I think that Cam Bynum should transition to a full-time corner role. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not even saying he should play corner, more than 20% of the time. I'm just saying if we are in a situation where he's better than the other corners, well, maybe he gets in a rotation there.
Absolutely. A lot of question marks right now with the Vikings, and some answers hopefully to come. We transition now. The guy we mentioned earlier, Kyrie Jackson. Vikings released a statement reading from Lindsey Young. They remember Kyrie Jackson and share plans to honor the cornerback. The funeral for Kyrie Jackson and Isaiah Hazel, one of the two friends who perished in the crash, is scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, July 26th. Members of the Vikings organization who will attend the service include Kwesi, Coach Kevin O'Connell, Defensive Coordinator Brian Flores, Special Teams Coordinator Matt Daniels, and Defensive Backs Coach Durante Jones. The team is contributing more than $20,000 toward this funeral expenses and will pay out the remainder of Kyrie Jackson's signing bonus to his estate. Kyrie's jersey number 31 and his locker room at the Twin Cities Orthopedic Performance Center will remain unused for the 24 season. Players will wear helmet decals with his initials for the entire season, while coaches and staff will have the opportunity to wear pins with the same design. In addition, stenciling on the Vikings practice fields will be dedicated to Kyrie Jackson's memory. Very classy move by the Vikings, and a move that I think a lot of Vikings fans expected, paying out the rest of his signing bonus, and a very classy to not allow anyone else to wear the number 31.
I'm 100% with you. This is an absolute tragedy, and they are treating it as such. The Wilfs, the Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, they're all making a really smart decision here in, let's just take a breather, let's honor him, and then let's get back to work.
Sounds as if in this article as well, the team intends to host Kyrie's family here at the Vikings Celebration of Life to honor Kyrie Jackson. And I mean, it sounds like, speaking with other players, other people within the cornerback room, Coach Brian Flores has said he made an impact even in his short time here. That's crazy to see. And it's just very unfortunate, the card that was dealt to him.
It's really sad, yeah. But Vikings are making the necessary steps that they have to make to not correct it, but make things better, smooth them out. He's making the Jackson family. They're making the Jackson family feel very important, which they are. And yeah, nothing's going to change the fact that Kyrie is gone and he's passed away, but they're making the necessary steps they need to make to show, he really was very important to us, and it's not, okay, what happened to him.
Indeed. Shifting topics. Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison. Words are tough.
Okay, Big Lou.
Sorry, he's coming back. I have to, get in the mind frame. In an ESPN article, Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison vows to keep learning after his DUI arrest. He says he was surprised by the support he has received. I didn't think it was going to be how it was, but it was really important. I was in a dark place. I was feeling down, and they really uplifted me to come out here and just perform at a high level. So through everything that's going on, I'm going to put it behind me. I'm still going to perform at a high level, come out here and give the fans what they pay for. Addison, in response to facing potential discipline, his response was, what's ever out there for me, whatever comes with it, I'll own up to everything. I feel like anything that comes my way is meant to happen or is deserved. A very mature response from the young man. My response to him would be, words are one thing, your actions are going to really do the talking. How is he really going to be learning from this?
But it's a mature first step.
Very true. Very true.
Her first step to be like, you know what? I messed up. I messed up really bad. Instead of like, oh, my dog is sick, right? I messed up, right? I'm going to face the consequences of what happened. I know I did something wrong. So whatever's going to happen to me, I'm just going to let it happen. That's just how it's going to be. I think it's a really, really mature response for him.
Very true. I'm not saying that, it wasn't a very mature response, because clearly it was. I just think what I was trying to get at is, as a Vikings fan and to Jordan Addison, I mean, you just got to go out there and you got to prove it with your actions now. And I have no doubt that he's going to do that. He is young. Young players make very stupid decisions. Case in point.
He's figuring it out, though. That's what I'm taking away from this, is he's figuring it out finally.
Very true. Very true. Next up on the docket, Christian Darrisaw signed an extension, making him one of the higher paid offensive linemen in the NFL. What are your thoughts on the extension?
I'm looking it up right now so that I can find the exact amount of money that it is. So he signed a 4-year, $113 million contract. That is absolutely 100% deserved. That is an insane amount of money. I think one of the most for a tackle ever. But that's the way tackles are going right now. Everyone's trending up with their money. So looks like his cap hit this year is going to be $4.25 million. That's a lot of money. However, like I said, he is maybe the best offensive lineman in the NFL in some people's eyes, right? Now, I'm still going to put Trent Williams number one. I don't think there's any way he's not. But there are some people who will rank Christian Darrisaw the number one offensive lineman in the NFL. I think that he is an immense, what's the word for it? Presence. He's an immense presence on the field. He plays his heart out every single play. He hits. He is a great pass blocker. He will lock up your best edge rusher for an entire game. Christian Darrisaw is a stud. I think the Vikings obviously realize that. So 4 years, $113 million, $77 million guaranteed.
A guy like Justin Jefferson puts up, he's NFL Offensive Player of the Year when he's fully healthy. You have a guy like Kirk Cousins who can put up MVP numbers. That doesn't happen without Christian Darrisaw on your offensive line. Your offense goes the way your offensive line goes. You have a guy that makes such an immense impact. You're going to lock him up. Now the goal is to shore up everybody else on that O-line to get you the best possible team to put out on the field. And if we had 5 Christian Darrisaws, we could be a Super Bowl contender, potentially one of the greatest shows on turf. I'm just really throwing everything out there, but it's a guy you want in the locker room.
Yeah, sounds like he's a great locker room guy too. There's one more thing I want to mention regarding the offensive line. There were reports about yesterday during the first day of training camp. So the Vikings just re-signed Dalton Risner, I think, to a 1-year, couple $1 million deal. However, he was not taking the 1 reps at the left guard position. It was Blake Brandel, which is interesting. And the reason I say that's interesting is because Blake Brandel has not played very much. However, he's been asked to step up time and time again and just has not done it. We've been talking about guard depth and how it's bad. Ed Ingram was still taking the right guard reps, which whatever, right? You can think what you want about him, but whatever. But Blake Brandel was taking the 1 reps at the left guard. And so Dalton Risner, my guess, and Blake Brandel will be in a rotation together. They won't each play the entire game, but they'll rotate out.
Genuine question. Does a guy like Dalton Risner, do you potentially slot him over to at right guard to take in some reps from Ed Ingram? Is he a guy that's just going to be rotating in and out, trying to get the other guys breathers? Just another.
I think he's a utility guard. I think that he plays both right and left guard.
Could that be a potential reason why they wanted to potentially start Blake Brandel to?
It could be. Because I don't think that Risner will play the whole game every game. I do think that he will have more snaps than one of those 2 guards, though. I think he'll have more snaps in a game. So whether he's filling in a lot for Brandel at the left guard or if he's filling in a lot for Ingram at the right guard, I think he's going to have more snaps than at least one of those 2.
Again, O-line depth. I don't care. I don't really have a emotional attachment to really any single the offensive lineman. I will have an attachment to the whole unit itself. And if the unit itself, doesn't matter who you throw in there, can get the job done to allow your quarterback, Darnold, McCarthy, to stand upright and not break a rib. You allow a guy like Justin Jefferson to go off and give the fans what they paid for, I'm all for it. I don't really have much else to say. Obviously, our O-line expert, Big Lou, has other things he could say about that.
Big Lou.
It's just one of those things where, Dalton Reisner, he's going to take this approach different. How is he going to take this approach coming off of the bench potentially instead of being a starter?
For sure. For sure. All right. One of a couple of last things for the docket today. We're actually doing really good on time.
I know.
The Vikings signed both of their first-round picks, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner, this last week. I think I didn't look at the contract details too much, but I think they're both making around $15 million, and I think they both got it fully guaranteed. If I'm not mistaken.
It's definitely one of the reasons of the holdout. I think a lot of rookies hold out for that reason, for guaranteed money.
Yes. And so, obviously, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner, both studs in college. They were immense forces on the field.
Dallas Turner, J.J. McCarthy, when he hands that ball off, man, what a force. No, I'm kidding.
Are you a J.J. McCarthy hater?
Yeah. Not anymore because he's a Viking. I got to love and support everyone.
If he wasn't a Viking, would you be a J.J. McCarthy hater?
Yes.
Really?
Handoff merchant.
Even though Blake Corum was the running back?
Yeah, he benefited off of Jim Harbaugh and Blake Corum.
I disagree with you on that one.
It's okay. It's okay to disagree. That's what makes this country great. It's our ability to, and this podcast great, is we can sit here and we can disagree. But at the end of the day, it's the best interest of the Vikings.
Yes.
So I'm going to root for J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to root for his development. And I'd be loved to be proven wrong. And that's really what I'm hoping for here. I'm not praying for his downfall or anything like that.
Once JJ starts, we're all going to be kind of surprised with how good he is.
He has shown a lot of flashes. I think the biggest criticism is just he hasn't shown it at the college level. Didn't need to.
No. He's a national champion quarterback. I mean, they weren't running the wishbone or power T. They were running a West Coast offense, which is obviously, it's becoming more common. Did they go into the I formation from time to time? Sure. Every team does that, right? Minnesota ran the ball significantly more than Michigan when Mo Ibrahim was a running back there. Blake Corum, he was a stud in college, obviously. He's going to be good in the NFL as well. I can't remember which team he went to. Maybe
I think he's a Charger.
No.
He's a Ram.
Oh, okay.
It was Velocity.
Still in LA.
For a second, I thought Harbaugh tried to nab his old guy, but yeah, running back duo of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. I mean,
that's a really good running back duo, and I think that they got him in like the 4th round or something like that. Like they got him decently late.
Rams have done a great job in the day 2, day 3 aspect of the draft and finding some hidden gems.
Puka Nacua,
Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp was a late round pick.
Yeah,
he was a day 2 pick, but still, he wasn't a first rounder.
Right. Yeah, a lot of Rams draft really well in the 2nd, 3rd, and beyond. But and then obviously, there's no arguing that Dallas Turner was one of the top defensive players in this year's draft. There's no arguing with that. I don't care who you are, you cannot argue with that. I know there were other players like Laiatu Latu, Jared Verse. I don't know. Who's the defensive tackle? Johnny Newton. I don't know. There was a lot of debate on those guys, but Dallas Turner, I think his career sacks is like in the 20s or something like that at Alabama.
Yes, he was very good.
See if I can find that. Okay, Dallas Turner. In 2023, had 11 sacks. Oh my God. And he had, let's see, where are sacks on here? He had, let's see, two multiple sack game. One of those games was 2.5. 2022, he had 4 sacks after seemingly not playing very much. His first game where he got a decent amount of playing time, or sorry, his second game getting a decent amount of playing time, he got 2 sacks. And 2021 as a sophomore, he had 8.5 sacks. So let's see, 8.5. Oh, I'll just look at his career stats.
Math is tough. Let's just have someone do it.
23.5 total sacks in his career in 3 years.
Yeah, in 3 years.
And the one he had 2, right? So obviously he is. And Christian Darrisaw even said, he's got a spin move that puts Danielle Hunter to shame. I don't know. I think my prediction is that he'll have more than 7.5 sacks this year. No, I didn't make that prediction. Who made that prediction? Dallas Turner will have at least 7 sacks.
Joel.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's going to be a stud. I don't think he'll start the week 1. I think it's going to be Grenard and it's going to be Van Ginkel.
But just that rotation is so deadly. And the potential there is puts a smile on my face.
Ivan Pace, who is definitely a run blitzer,
Speaking of Ivan Pace, getting the green dot in his second year as a UDFA.
Yeah. He is impressive. He is probably one of the most impressive UDFAs of all time.
He is on track. Exactly. Fact he didn't get drafted was crazy.
Yeah. I could not, because there were some people that had him going in the second round. I could not believe he didn't get picked.
Was there a reason behind that? It's been a little bit. Was there a reason why he potentially fell?
I don't remember. I think it's literally because everyone was just like, we don't need a middle linebacker who can't pass cover. Because he supposedly couldn't pass cover at that time, which he's still not, amazing at it.
It's not an elite trait of his.
Right.
He was out at Cincinnati. I was genuinely surprised.
Yeah, I could not believe he didn't get drafted. And that we were the ones that got him in UDFA. Same with Andre Carter. Both of them.
He was really good at Army.
In free agency. So, yeah.
Shows what hard.
Last thing on the docket. Matt and I made a couple of predictions. Let's see. All right, can you see my screen? Oh, yay. You can. Okay. Matt and I made a couple of predictions. Matt, how do you want to do this? Do all 3 and then go to you, or do you want to do one after the other?
We can, you can just rip your 3. I can rip my 3. Very quickly, though, Joel made a prediction that J.J. McCarthy would remain unsigned by August 1st. That did not happen. And then I made a prediction that Jose Ramirez would win All-Star Game MVP. He didn't. And our predictions read as Joel leading at 13 and 18 with a 72%. Sam Z here, 1 of 7. Big Lou, 1 of 2. He'll have more predictions when he comes back. Sam O, 5 for 17. And we can forget about mine, to be honest. That we don't need.
I gotta get my percentage up, man. My percentage last year, 42% almost. My goodness. And now I think Joel's going just check down after check down. This is kind of stupid. You were calling me check down guy.
I don't know what it is about Joel. Some of his predictions that have hit are pretty wild, I will say. Are you seriously going to sit here and say that the Vikings, a player is going to get publicly arrested was a check down?
Yes. The Vikings have more arrests than any other team in NFL history.
Okay.
Like 57.
I was shocked that came true. If you're asking me.
Look at our roster.
If you're asking me what player it would have been, no, I wasn't surprised.
Exactly.
That was who we were. Now, if you would have predicted the player specifically,
okay, that would have been nuts. That would have been pretty sweet. But at the same time,
agree to disagree. Obviously, there's some on here that will feel like a red for Joel, but
right.
It's all for fun.
I don't know, man. 1 for 15, and whoever that guy is, that's pretty bad, man.
Yeah. Well, you should also know that guy just won the Heisman in his junior year at the U of M. So,
East Carolina National Championship, baby. Let's go, Purple Pirates.
We're obviously having a lot of fun on College Football 25. Our defense is non-existent. O-line pass blocking is non-existent.
You get 2 seconds to throw the ball. You got a fade route? That sucks.
In Road to Glory, it's just hand the ball off. And if you play underdog, it's Road to Degree. A lot of things there. I don't know. My first dynasty team will be Navy, so I'll let you know how that ends up going.
You better win the national championship in your second year. I went 6-6 and won the ReliaQuest Bowl my first year against Mississippi State. Second year, first undefeated season in East Carolina history, and we won the national championship.
That's a program builder. Is that your archetype for your coach? Program builder?
Strategist. Yeah. Whichever one's the blue one. I think that's strategist, right?
I haven't looked too much into those. I just know that all my coaches that have coached at the U of M are program builders.
No, I'm definitely a strategist.
Yeah, offense or defense background? Or is it both?
I don't remember. I would have to look. I had the first 2,000-yard college football rusher in a long time.
Was it an actual player, or was this someone you recruited?
Yeah, bro. Javius Bond. I think he's a real guy. Yeah, he's a real dude. 5'11", 171, coming out of Macon, Georgia. He's an exercise physiology major. Yeah, freshman year, he had 40 rushes for 231 yards and a touchdown, and he had 10 receptions for 52 yards. He returned 9 kicks for 193 yards, and then he had 5 total tackles as well. And so my starting running back graduated, and so he was my starting running back for 2 years. And his first year as a starter, he went for 2,095 yards or something like that.
Well, I started a dynasty with Georgia, and I've done nothing but bail kids out of Clark County Jail.
So. That's scary. Don't. If you start a dynasty with Georgia, you should go to jail.
I'll go to jail with all my other players. You have an incoming call from the Clark County Jail. Coach, I need you.
Oh, my God.
Anywho, we'll get back to the topic at hand and predictions real quick.
Yeah.
We'll rip those off.
So, prediction number 1 for me is that Aaron Jones is going to have 100-plus yards from scrimmage in the 2 games against the Packers. He's going to average 100-plus yards from scrimmage. Now, he doesn't average about 100 yards from scrimmage. He does not per game. I think in the 2 that he plays against the Packers, he will. I think he'll probably have over 100 in the first one and just under in the second. Prediction number 2, the Vikings are going to have more sacks this year than last year. Last year, they had 43, so that's our number to beat. I think the Vikings, our pass rush is upped because alongside Danielle Hunter, on the other side, edge rushing was non-existent at best. Marcus Davenport was hurt the whole season, so it didn't really happen. And so now we have Andrew Van Ginkel, we have Jonathan Grenard, we have Dallas Turner, we have Ivan Pace, who is an emerging player. I even think that Harrison Phillips is going to have a better season this year, hoping that Jaquelin Roy is going to step up into the defensive tackle spot. But yeah, so more than 43 sacks this year. And number 3, Ty Chandler will have 600 plus yards from scrimmage this season. I think that he's going to have an increased role this year. He had a pretty good season last year. I think he had just under 300 total yards. I think he's going to have a very increased role this year, and he's going to have over 600 total yards.
Not bad predictions, sir. I'm just modifying one real quick before I rip mine off.
Oh, please, take your time.
We're running all over. Anyway, Vikings have a little bit of a corner issue, and if they're going to sign someone, I believe they will sign either J.C. Jackson or Adoree Jackson. If I'm looking realistically, it'll end up being a guy like Chandon Sullivan or someone who is very cheap. But part of me wants to think the Vikings will open the checkbook a little bit and go sign a young guy. And if you ask me on this list, I would really hope it's Adoree Jackson. I want a playmaker in my secondary. Second prediction, we talked about this before going on air. Big Lou will have lost 20 pounds at basic training.
That's a lot of weight, man.
It's a bit of a stretch, but I said 15 and you said that was generous in terms of it feels like it could happen. It seems very possible. We love our boy Big Lou. We hope everything went well. We hope his travel back is safe as well. And you better not mess with me if it ends up being true. You better not lie to me about these stats. A man can dream. A man can dream. Last prediction
is just so that you get it wrong.
It's 19.5 pounds. My last prediction, we're going to the college realm. The Minnesota Golden Gophers will go 7-5 and win a bowl game. So if they win the bowl game, it'll be 18-5. If you ask me what bowl game they would win, I'm not sure specifically what 7-win bowl games teams get invited to. But if it fits Minnesota well, we're going to win the Quick Lane Bowl. That is the Golden Gopher legendary bowl game that we have dominated in.
So are you saying they have to go exactly 7-5 or at least 7-5?
7-5 would be the regular season.
Yes. Are you saying exactly 7-5 or at least 7-5?
Exactly.
Ooh. I like it, Matt. I like it a lot.
And obviously they can go 7-5 and all that and win a bowl game. So both need to happen in order for the prediction to go through. I trust PJ Fleck. I trust Darius Taylor. He's been a star. He's an All-American in my road to glory. And we don't really have any receivers, so it's going to be a lot of running the football, it feels like.
Alrighty. Well, folks, there you have it. Solve the SKOL for the day. I don't know if Joel and Sam are planning on doing a different episode later this week or whatnot. We'll see. But we'll come back next week. For sure, Matt and I will.
Or hopefully bring back Big Lou and Joel.
Bring back Big Lou, Joel, maybe Sam O.
Get the whole gang back together.
Get all 5 of us on the same podcast again. I don't think we've had that since halfway through the school year.
And school will be starting up soon again for all of us.
Yes, it will be. So we will definitely see how that goes. But thank you guys for watching. I think I saw one viewer popping in and out. So appreciate you sticking with us.
You're a soldier, man. You're a soldier.
You are a soldier. But yeah, so we will see you next week. And as always, wait for it. There you go. SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings, man.
SKOL Vikings, man. All right, we'll see you guys next week.